Okay, Sudayana, Sumayanasya. Such a special moment in time because I'm here with Mel Edwards, and he's a beautiful friend. He shines a really bright divine spark from within. And we met at the Starlight Festival in Bangalore, New South Wales. Was it only in January? So maybe about 4 months ago. And he's been using LifeFX. He's been using it with his retreat customers, clients, and people he works with in his own space. The universe was just calling me to get on a call with him to discuss a little bit about how he feels when he works with LifeFX, because I think it is an important message to facilitators out there, how it can facilitate and upgrade the work that they're doing. But also, and mainly, because he needs to share his message of love and how he was brought to that point, and what he actually embodies comes naturally to most people if they don't push it away. So we're going to just get into it and see what he really has to say today. So Melo, thank you. Kunayanasya, an honor to sit in space with you again. You're such a beautiful soul and such a peaceful energy I always feel when I'm around you. And I just take an exhale because it feels nice to be met in that space. And you don't always get it when you're moving about the world. So, Katsudayanasya. Tell us about you and about your life and about what brings you to this journey of seeking peace and surrender and the divine frequencies of love in this matrix.
Well, thank you so much for this beautiful introduction, Zara. It's absolute joy for me to resonate with you and to recognize another soul who we don't need to speak at all because our hearts recognize each other. And that's the great joy that I'm inviting others to experience. When I began reading books of esoteric nature when I was 13, doing particularly deep yogic breath meditations when I was 14, and then spent 50 years being an organic market gardener, growing food in earth that I was nurturing, to come to understand that the divine is in everything. So growing food consciously, interacting with those plant beings, with the energy in the soil, the microbes, and then producing food, which is so vitalizing. So 50 years slipped on by quite easily while doing meditative practices and exploring what crystals bring and how much of an accelerant and a guide they are in that whole process. So it was only recently that I finally fully retired from market gardening. Now I just grow enough for my partner and myself and a few friends. But I'm very much focused now on doing this retreat work, the crystal resonance healing work that I do. And after meeting with you, feeling your energy going, oh, I've got to try this water. And immediately, because I'm pretty sensitive, I just went, oh, yes, this changes everything. It's a great enhancer. So me who used to struggle, now I get through 2 liters of water at least a day with ease and grace. And bringing this as an introductory thing to everybody who does our 2.5-day retreats and observing the transformation in all of them, not just in a few, but in all of them, enhancing wherever they are at that time to really come into the next level of heart-mind coherence. Because the whole retreat is actually a whole series of very intelligently created steps, which comes from higher guidance. It's not just my mind thinking it up. I'm the facilitator, I'm the mouthpiece, but this is from 11th dimensional beings who work through this one, and our connection is so deep and profound that they really run the whole retreat. So when we give the people the water and we make sure they're drinking it right through, they are accelerated into experiencing what we're offering. So one of the first meditations we offer, which again was taught to me by a being who lives inside a giant crystal in Sedona 16 years ago, is called the Toroidal breath. And it's incredibly simple and absolutely profound. When one simply focuses their attention upon breathing from the heart up, out through the crown, all the way around the side of them on the in-breath, back down around in through the perineum and back to the heart on the out-breath, in front, behind, to the sides, with each single conscious breath, then they are activating their heart consciousness. They are generating and enhancing the field of love around them. So then they can feel themselves to be in peace. And so the people that they interact with, somebody who's got a disagreement with you, and they come at you with, oh, I don't think you're right, la, 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 la. You can stand there and nod and just consciously do that breath and observe that person softening and surrendering. And then you can say your truth and they hear you with their hearts. This is the key to living the new way.
To speak, feel, and be in that presence of love that comes from within. And I think you said it really well, that meditation that you teach, linking to the heart, to the toroidal field, that's one that's naturally come to me. I haven't been taught it, but whenever I look at clients or sessions or facilitating, it's always so clear from my higher guidance as well. It's link the breath with the heart, not with the energy of the other movements of the planets or the sun or the other vortexes we have in other chakras, but it's always come back to the breath and the heart, because that clears your own internal space and you link in with that divine nature and intelligence of you. And not of me or of anyone else in the room or in the field, but it's about linking in with the eternal essence of you.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And oh, there we are. You just disappeared off screen for a minute and now you're back. Yes,
We've had you.
technology plays with us, because this is another little thing I'd love to put in here. I have heard so many times people say about they haven't done the work to come into their hearts. And one evening I was having a discussion with a couple of friends while doing a retreat, and the guidance said, we invite you to talk about playing. Work is over. Now, by divine activation, we can all play in the field of divine love, because that is how we access unified consciousness. How many times have we all heard about coming into the oneness, and the individual separate mind goes, well, that's a nice idea, but I've got no understanding of what that actually is. So what I am being guided to teach and to celebrate and dance and touch with people is allowing themselves, by focusing on their hearts, to feel a connection with the apparent other, which is not sexual, it's not romantic, and it's not, I'm going to save this poor soul. It is a meeting of hearts at an equal place, because that's the great gift. Every single apparently individual human being has exactly the same amount of God light in their hearts. There is no superior, inferior, any of that. It's all about peeling away all those fear-empowered limitations. I can't see, I can't feel. It's all an old story, which is now by divine decree being dissolved for you. So drinking this water, doing this heart meditation, if nothing else, will absolutely bring you into a direct experience of the divine inside that center of your chest, where your energy is, where your divinity is, where your consciousness resides inside the body. It's
And
actually,
that's, you go ahead and finish up, Mello.
what I really will just complete this with is that this is all very simple. And when we stop thinking it's too hard, thinking I'm not good enough, thinking it's all very well for them over there, they can do it, but here I am smoking my cigarette in fear, not knowing what to do, well, just breathe and drink some purified, energized water. Because water is the stuff which activates these whole embodiments that we get to play in. Nobody knows how to work their body. Mostly we just mess it up by eating the wrong thing, drinking the wrong thing, smoking, all of that rubbish. When you put that aside and come back to the essence is drinking purified, activated water, doing this simplest of meditations, and letting everything else fall away and allow the divine seed to grow and flower within you. That is the path forward. That is the invitation of now. That is the invocation of the divine to allow us to truly surrender all our stories of who we thought we were, let all of that go, and find that the divine creator is right inside here and has been all along. We are
And
born
it's
in life. We just cover it up with stories from our parents, from our social structure. None of that's real. It's all a big fat movie, and it's a horror story. It leads to death alone, and nobody ever loved me. Well, you don't have to play that game. You can have a love story right now. So simply, so elegantly. And then random moments of love bliss just pop up and you laugh for no apparent reason because the joy is overflowing. Grace comes with ease. And that is the measure nowadays. If you think I need to go over there and do that, and it does not come with ease and grace, then that's not the divine path. It's becoming very obvious now for anybody who stops long enough to see the effects upon their person, upon their emotions, upon their thoughts. If what I'm intending is flowing effortlessly, the divine is supporting me to go that way. Anything else, which is hard work, is no longer appropriate. And this whole year is orchestrated to tear away all of those old fear assumptions, to render us bare, naked before the divine light, saying, yes, thank you. I welcome myself to absorb, to feel from within, to absorb from without, all around me, that divine love has always been here, always. And unity consciousness is the way that we play together in the field of divine love.
it's so beautiful to hear you speak because it's just like yes, 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 yes. And 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 it's so easy to say for you sitting in that space, and it's so easy for me to feel because I know it very, very, very well. But then we can fall into that little trap. And when we fall into that little trap of thinking something's hard or something's the old way, it feels like there's a mechanism that can just take us right out. And that is that toroidal shield breath that you were speaking about. It can just literally lift you into the present, and you can see a new way. You can see a new way to move in that moment that will help you connect with that divine light that you are. And I think it's this wonderful place to play here in this reality field that we find ourselves in, which is so shaky and unstable at times because we're looking to find our own support. We're looking to find that internal mechanism that lets go of need or greed or any of the polar opposites. to come back into union with the self and with the heart and with that divine love that encompasses it all. So I just appreciate you and your words and your message and your energy when you share from that space, because it is a bliss and it is a love that's available to each one of us every day. And I'll be the first person to say, you don't need anything else. You don't need good water, even if you are in that blissful space, that you can maintain that every step of the way. I think I just want to make sure that no one thinks they need anything, because you are everything. You are everything. But because we live in this mechanical bioelectric body, and we're a bioelectric energy field, what I find LifeFX helps with, like you mentioned, is to enhance that original presence of divine light that's within. I see it, and I'd love your input on this too, Mello. I see it that and how I'm being shown it is that every cellular receptor in this neural network, as well as in this physical vessel that houses the soul, it also has a cellular spark, and that spark is the ignition point for all of life. And so what LifeFX can do is it can assist, obviously, the purification of the physical form, because when we're blocked with heavy metals or other pathogens and toxins that haven't been able to move out of the physical vessel, and into the urine streams or into the sweat, then we get a little bit clogged and the physical stability is a bit off balance. It's not at homeostasis, it's not at equilibrium. But also because LifeFX contains these really rare and high potency primordial source minerals, they're able to actually electrically charge each of those cellular membranes so that they can function at their fullest. And that helps divine life actually grace each cell of the body. And it becomes this toroidal field that's stronger, it's enhanced, it's a more solid substance, so to speak, here in physical form. What's your take on that?
Well, I thoroughly agree with what you're saying. Two things I want to bring up. The first one is that when you're purifying your vessel, then when you go to eat substances that you used to eat, you will find it doesn't sit well anymore. That indigestion will arise, or constipation, or some other form of your body doesn't feel right because you've eaten something which is low vibration, high carbohydrate, high toxin, created in the most hideous way. And having been a farmer, I know full well what is used to grow conventional food. So that's another part of how the LifeFX works. But another part, this is the part which is really so profound, because I've worked with crystals for so long, and I fully understand that when I place crystals on somebody's body, I'm inviting their energy body to rise up to the frequency of the crystals. So with my inner sight, I can see what's going on. For a lot of people, it just looks like clear stuff you put in your water, and their mind goes, well, whatever. But I say to them all quite freely, this is imbued with the golden God ray, because my meditations prior to this water, coming from Mother Mary, it was no ordinary meditation, involved the diamond white crystal light coming down right through my chakra system. Within literally 2 days of starting to use LifeFX, there was the golden God ray interwoven with the crystal ray coming down from infinitely above right through all of my system down into the center of Mother Earth. That golden God ray is the real accelerant that's in this water. It is encoded with the divine. And that is the most subtle thing to convey to others. But for some of us, it's completely obvious because we feel it and we see it with our inner vision. And this is part of what I teach. Believing is seeing. It's not the other way around. So when somebody allows themselves to go, okay, these people saying this with a great deal of conviction, what if I try that? When I drink this water and I do the toroidal breath or some other form of sitting quietly inside myself, allow my imagination, my capacity to create images, to visualize a golden God ray coming through me, and do it for a few months. Give it time to germinate and grow, and then you are in a much more fit place to choose whether this is real or not, because you've given it a fair opportunity to activate within yourselves. Because there's one other part about what is happening now. Since this eclipse, all sorts of people are feeling all sorts of new effects inside them. Some going into a deep peace that at long last, here we are. Hello. Soon, it's been 50 years. Well, 12,000 years, in fact, but that's another story. The thing about now is that the magnetic field of the Earth, we have been shielded for so long from the sun's input. Now the solar winds are coming in because the magnetic field of the Earth is so weakened. So therefore, the veil, so-called, is much, much thinner. All sorts of people are now going to start having a sense of, a vision of, there are angelic beings around me. There are guides who are here supporting me. I can now start to feel them and hear their whispers. And here's the other really beautiful part of this. The magnetic effect is feminine. The divine feminine quality is what is now being truly enhanced and brought forth. And a divine feminine being isn't one to go off to war. She is one to nurture and to feel and to intuit what other people are struggling with and offer them a calm and gentle arm to hold them, wise counsel when they need it, and a sense of being calmly present. Those wise earth mothers, those older beings with all their history written on their face, they have a field of gentleness, of nurturance around them. And that is being woken up in the heart of every biological form, whether male or female. The divine feminine is now the guiding, nurturing force for all of this awakening.
Mm. And it
So,
feels so nice to step into that. It's like the arms of peace, really, where you just surrender and you just allow divinity to do its work. And I've been feeling it as well since the eclipse. It was just like, whoa, that was thousands of lifetimes done, complete. Thank you. And so many blessings, arriving for everyone who's in that space where they're willing to take control of their life again to a certain degree, right? So yes, you're surrendering to divine will, but taking back control in the form of breathing through the nervous system, breathing through the spine, stopping when you need to stop, having a rest, even if it's for 2 minutes during the middle of the day when you're at work, but you're coming back into the calm and the surrender of the breath and how that activates your central processing unit, your heart, as I like to call it, and how then you can move from that vortex of energy. And that vortex of energy is the one that's taking us home, back to the inner self, back to divine love, back to the heart, back to the neural network of the earth, so to speak.
yes, yes, absolutely. And
And
it's given to all of us. It's been given all along, but now so many more people are starting to feel something different. And there are many for whom trauma, disbelief, fear have been suppressed. Their being in control is actually been keeping a lid on serious trauma, from hideous childhood abuse, from ancestral trauma going back from eons. How many cultural races have been abused for so long? So for those folks right now, it could be feeling decidedly uncomfortable. So we invite people to understand that when strong, visual, discordant dreams come up and wake them up, and they're feeling fear at that moment, to turn that into gratitude, to say in that moment, oh, wow, I didn't even know I had this hidden inside me. Thank you for showing it, because now I choose to let it go. And it might happen more than once. It might even happen for 6 months. But keeping on, coming back to appreciation of the process in train is rinsing you clean. The water is removing the chemical toxins from the body. The divine rays are removing the emotional, mental toxins from your own energetic consciousness field.
And the water facilitates that process because the water is actually breaking down the substrates that are actually containing those energetic emotional blocks. And so if you use it consistently, it just allows flow. And that electromagnetic field that you are will start to actually pick up the resonance, like you said, of the crystalline grids and that energy of the divine spark, the divine wisdom of the internal and eternal self. So that's my take on how to move through this with more ease and grace, because you're right, not everyone is feeling peace by any means, and most people are feeling a massive storm. And that is a spot to drop in and surrender to, because you know that it's a gift for your highest evolution, and it's just coming to the surface and allowing it to be and allowing it to flow through the physical cell is probably one of the most important things we can do, other than giving appreciation and praise to it for showing you the shadows and the darker corners that need to be seen.
Yes, you see, that's the whole point. The heart, the divine heart, part of what I teach, is that there are 6 heart virtues. And they are not only ways to effectively travel through life, but they are also highways into the divine heart. It's described grammatically as having the divine love in the middle, and humility sits at the base. From humility, which again is a shortening of the human ability to be grounded without judgment, from there spawns up into 2 other qualities either side of us. One is forgiveness. The capacity to forgive is so profoundly healing. And where do you find the power for that? You access your valor. Now, valor is a word that for a lot of younger folks have no idea what it means. So we describe valor as being courage meted out with grace. It is the power to stand in your truth. And therefore, there are times you can say, no, whatever you are suggesting does not sit with me. I choose not to go down that path. And from here comes understanding. And that understanding, therefore, leads to compassion. When somebody comes at you full of anger, rather than reflecting it and rejecting it, you go, wow, brother, you must be really hurting. How can I help you? Completely knocks the socks off them. You know, what's going on? You're meant to be angry back at me because I'm angry at you. No, I feel your trauma. How can I help you? And that leads to appreciation. So those 6 virtues, humility, forgiveness, valor, understanding, compassion, and appreciation, when chosen as your life's window to experience everything, completely changes what's going on. Now, I had a practical application of this, I'd love to just quickly share. At our community garden, a place where community people volunteer, there was a very major disagreement between two groups. And it took a couple of years and they could not find resolution. So finally, we had to employ a mediator. And so I did a big drawing of the 6 heart virtues and took it in and put it up against the wall in that room. And it completely wrecked all their confrontations. And we found a resolution with ease and grace, very gently, because even though I wasn't explaining it all, it was simply there as an effect in the room. Everybody at some point glanced over to it and it softened and moderated so that they could understand and hear the other person's point of view and come to an agreement in the middle, which was shaped from divine love. These tools
That's
are amazing.
sorry to interrupt, Mello. Um, I was just confirming how beautiful that is and how important that work is right now in the world when you see separation and anger and divide coming at us from all angles. It's so important to bring it in and to actually allow it to be and not to reject it, whether it's in our own selves at any point in time or coming from another. And that's when we find the space of the heart, when we can allow all things to be without judgment, without conclusion, without need to change, but just that real acceptance. And it's a really profound way to live. And I'd like to just touch on that briefly, only because I had an experience, a couple of them really, where there were those energies coming at me, and I was, and my old self would have bent, and be like, okay, you're right. But that wasn't appropriate. It was actually, no, that's your truth. That's fine. This is my truth. Let's sit down and talk about it. And when that wasn't met, it was so hard. It was so hard for me in these past experiences to find that divine light because my own energy field wanted to bend into submission, right, from their will. And I think a lot of empaths may go through this, and a lot of people who are in service and are in love, because you are soft and kind and nurturing and giving. And we're really looking for that center point where the divine masculine and the feminine meet in the one individual being. And how do we find that center? But it is holding, what I've found personally is it's holding the self to such a high regard that you don't allow anyone to walk over you, and holding the other in such a high regard that you don't allow yourself to project at them. And then when you're able to sit there, and whether or not they want to meet you, but if you can sit there in that space where you have so much love for both yourself and the other, it's when true forgiveness comes in. And the forgiveness comes through as a wash of energy and a purging of pain. And it's quite remarkable. It's been one of the most profound experiences of my life to find that center point, regardless of what anyone else felt, thought, or did. And I think your virtues strategy or training is it frames it in such a way that really allows people to make the shift. It feels quite profound, and I'm looking forward to seeing you implement that even in more outside of the retreats, because it's what we need, right? It's what we need to transition from a society that has been quite humbled by controlling forces to the fact where they don't have their own will. They've lost their own will, and that will's been broken. So how do you strengthen back up without going, whoa, way too far in the other direction of anger and resistance and vengeance? It's that center point that is so widely required at this stage. It's a map to find that. How do you find the center of the heart? And I think you've just really hit the nail on the head, so to speak, with a map. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you for your insights. Are there any others before we wrap
Uh,
up? Because you've got some great ones. I'm really enjoying it. It's so nice to be in presence in your field.
the thing about not being blown over by somebody else's fear projections is that that toroidal field that we talked about is also enhancing how from infinitely above down into the center of the earth and back again is that whole energy stream that each of our apparent individual biologies are activated by. So when somebody also does a further practice of when they're sitting in their heart, they visualize that for every in-breath and every out-breath, there is a cord of light coming from infinitely above all the way through them into the center of the earth, even while another cord is going in the opposite direction for the in-breath and the out-breath. Both of these are actually one of the most ancient of practices, which was known by beings at the peak times of human awareness in the previous great epochs of Atlantis, of Lemuria. It is being brought back now because when you are standing in that sense of I am connected, as everybody else is connected, through this energy stream, the pranic core, the kundalini, all of the different trainings, the core truth of Tantra is this. It's not about sex. That's just a trivialization. It's like saying that yoga is being able to put your leg behind your head. It's about union. And the union truly is of the divine energy quickening this biology and the consciousness which is inhabiting it for that brief period that the heart beats and the lungs take in air. When you combine these practices, they become empowered very quickly because you are doing the combination. The divinely activated water, that golden God ray, is exactly coming down through that same pranic column. It is reinforcing even while it is opening you to experience this. And for those who go, oh, yeah, well, maybe, okay, try imagining it. Oh, I can't imagine it. Okay, get out a piece of paper and draw a stick figure, if you will, or a form of a body, and then get a golden pen and write a little wriggly golden line all the way through. You can create an image for yourself in a very simple way. And then when you sit with your eyes closed, this image is already stored inside your brain. Your brain does have some uses, and this is one of them. Create an image and then remember it, and then the brain serves the heart, not the other way around. The brain serves the heart always.
It must, or we get off kilter. Oh, that's it. And this golden God ray that you speak of, it's what I work with all the time, and it's my intent with LifeFX that that image comes to a being, however and whenever they're ready, right? So it's for me, it's very much the eternal essence of the self. Bring that back online. And I do it with the frequency and the vibration of my voice and the love that emanates from my heart. And that's what I feel that I contribute to the minerals that are in LifeFX really profoundly. And but sometimes you're not ready to be seen, right? Because you want to stay hidden. And so that's been my kind of my perspective with my work is, oh, people aren't really ready for this. I don't know if I'm ready for this, but having you share your experiences with the energy fields that you've really accessed very well, having LifeFX in your life, yeah, it makes me feel somewhat complete because I know I've done the work. I know I've done my work. I've done what I'm here to do, which is to help in any way I can to bring people home. to help them remember who they are and to access that internal light that exists for each one of us. And on that note, it exists for each one of us. No one is separate from God. No one is separate from source in the infinite flows of creation. And when we think that someone or another is higher than, or there's still hierarchical standards going on, even if it's outside of, the 3D realm and matrix, but going into the spiritual community, that, in itself, I'm going to say it is a false light. No one is better than another. We are all Punayanasya. We are all the same love. We are all the same source. We are all the same light. And so we all have different versions of this reality going on, but each one is so valid and so important. And it's so vital to remember that who we are is that as that infinite creator space affects each and every being that we come across in ways untold and more powerfully than we could possibly imagine. So the best thing that we can each do for this planet and this people right now is to shine that light of authenticity in whatever direction that it leads. And then we've done the work that we're here to do. And that's how you change a population. That's how you change a species. That's how you change a world when it's gotten out of control, out of hand.
It's another bit of an alchemical thing which I like to play with. I go to ecstatic dance every Sunday, where 80 people are led by a very wise dance instructor facilitator, including classical music, including getting very active, very quiet. And then she reads out her latest poem. And she's on the path. She speaks poetry of divine love. At the end of the dance, all of this energy that I see emanating out of everybody, I gather it up. I go into a meditative state and bring it into a crystalline form, and then place that etheric crystal into the field of human consciousness. Because anytime that we are in a coherent conscious place, we're adding to the field for everybody else. So somebody who's scratching for a bit of food in Africa feels uplifted from the joy that 80 people have generated by dancing collectively at Brunswick Heads over here in New South Wales. When we are in coherence, we are sharing then into the field for everybody else. Knowing that, accepting that, is so empowering that we are helping even when we're sitting tucked away in some little quiet place in the bushes. It's still being felt by everybody else who's now going through their traumas. We're all connected.
And that's why we have such freedom in the way that we want to bring that light to the world. Some of us may want to sit in the bushes, right? And be that energy and be that expanse and contribute to the grid that way. And others may want to, get out and shine on stage or really share their work and share their presence. And each one is vitally important. And it's really a blessing and a beauty to be able to sit here with you today, Mello, Kunayanasya, and remember that fact. And help others remember as well. So thank you for the divine light that you bring and the upliftment that you bring to humanity and the collective planes, because it is so important right now. And we are in a space where it's really time to ignite, really time to shine that soul light in whatever way it resonates for you. So thank you.
Sure, absolutely. So this thing of sharing this divine impulse, I now have a Facebook page called Ascension Pathways, and this will become the first video to go on the Ascension Pathways YouTube channel, because there is this impulse now to get this out to far more people than those who get to do it in a small, intense way at the retreats. So thank you so much, Zhara, for giving me this opportunity to begin this next level of enhancement of consciousness in the field of human awareness.
It's so important, and your work is so valuable. And I very much appreciate you and all your reminders and all your gifts and all that you're here to share with the world. So thank you for being you. Sita Gunayanasya. Such a pleasure and an honor to know you, and a gift to be the first video up on your new site. I'm glad it's giving that that nudge ahead too, because it is time. It is time.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, dear.
Anasya. Gunayanasya. So much love, Nello. Katsiataya. So please do check out Mello's work. I think he is really that. Not think it's a feel, it's a know. He is that divine emanation of source light. And when you feel him from his heart space, you'll know too. Katsiatayana, siataya. All right. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Thanks, Mello. All the best.
Everybody.
All right.